October is almost upon us, and this is certainly a highly anticipated month for both Xbox first-party releases as well as some brand new AAA games coming to both our Xbox consoles and Xbox Game Pass. With the likes of Battlefield 6 as well as the highly anticipated Ark Raiders, it's going to be a pretty busy month for all of us gamers. Today though, I will be covering the top 15 brand new Xbox and Game Pass games coming this October, and to see if any of them are worth your time and money. With that though, my name is Fletcher, and this is Xbox Nation, and let's dive right into the games coming our way. First up on the 3rd of October, we have Digimon Storytime Stranger, and although I'm not really a fan or ever really partaken in this franchise, I know it's a really popular and highly anticipated one. This game might partly share the name of its predecessors, but it has a completely different setting this time around. As the name suggests, it does involve time itself, with all of us needing to travel through history in order to save both the human and digital worlds from ultra destruction. The previews of Digimon Storytime Stranger have been extremely positive, and recent data mines have also confirmed that we will be seeing over a massive roster of 452 Digimon at its launch. I do feel pretty excited for all of you Digimon fans, even though this is certainly not my cup of tea. This next game is up there with Battlefield 6 as my most anticipated game for this October, and finally, Little Nightmares 3 will be officially coming to both of the Xbox Series consoles on the 10th of October. However, this is not the only Little Nightmares game that we're going to be receiving for this month. On the very same day, anyone who's pre-ordered Little Nightmares 3 will get access to Little Nightmares Enhanced Edition, and that's providing a 4K 60 FPS experience, complete with other new features such as ray traced reflections for this original title. As for Little Nightmares 3 though, Bandai Namco has actually shown us quite a lot of gameplay now, and we've also got a fantastic demo which I highly recommend on the Xbox Store. This really is scratching that itch for many of us fans of this franchise, and the addition of the court mode is certainly a welcome one. Yes, my most anticipated game does land on the very same day, and I know many of you will be diving into this one straight away. Battlefield 6 needs absolutely no introduction on this list, and the game absolutely smashed records during its open beta period already this summer. This is actually the first time we're getting a full-length Battlefield story campaign since Battlefield 4, a really well put together and heavy destruction system in the multiplayer element, and then alongside that, a phenomenal looking portal mode. It looks like a great package so far, and with the Battlefield Studios teams actually really taking on player feedback with the likes of Battlefield Labs, I expect this will be one of the best Battlefield games we have to date. We have even more trailers and details coming very soon over the next couple of weeks to show us more of that campaign mode and also Portal. Honestly, I can't believe it's less than 3 weeks away, and I'm so bloody excited. Ball X Pit is a brick-breaking base-building survival roguelike that looks like the next indie time sink I can't wait to dive into. As you can see in the Ball X Pit gameplay, which I'm showing you on screen now, it fuses quite a few different gameplay mechanics to create this roguelike. There's classic brick-breaking action, with vampire survivors like explosions of numbers all over the screen, base building, and even survival gameplay, and is all morphed into one experience as you attempt run after run. It is also said to feature over 60 randomized balls for us to equip, and 70 unique buildings for New Babylon that will provide us with gameplay bonuses, power-ups, characters, and so much more. This newest indie experience will be landing day one onto Xbox Game Pass, which is absolutely fantastic to see. Double Fine's upcoming adventure lands this October, and it's really taking a quite daring approach by including no dialogue options and no spoken words. Instead, this newest game called Keeper is actually centered solely around atmosphere, puzzles, and its exploration. Essentially, you'll be guiding a sentient lighthouse on legs, trekking across surreal, painterly landscapes with your bird companion. Each environment really does look and feel like stepping into a dream, and so far it looks pretty stunning from early insights, but I kind of don't expect any less these days from Double Fine Productions. As I mentioned though, instead of traditional storytelling, the narrative unfolds visually, asking you to interpret the world's meaning as we solve different platforming challenges and environmental riddles. It's pretty weird, it's extremely bold, and it's exactly the kind of experimental art game that Double Fine is really known for. After 2 decades of waiting, endless rumours, and a development history that reads like a horror story itself, Bloodlines 2 is finally almost here. The original game became such a cult phenomenon because of its choice-driven narrative, morally grey factions, and moody atmosphere. The sequel though will be dropping us into Seattle's vampire underworld, and it's a city that's actually dripping with a lot of intrigue, where every conversation, clan, and betrayal really matters. But it hasn't been smooth sailing, of course. We've seen multiple delays, lots of studio changes, and also skepticism which has really haunted its path. Early impressions though do paint a pretty split picture. Writing and world building are extremely praised, but the combat does look rough around the edges. Still, the allure of returning to Masquerade is pretty strong, and I know many die-hard fans are really excited. After more than a decade in hiding, Ninja Gaiden finally slices its way back onto the scene in 2025, and the fourth entry feels like a real reinvention. Developed by Team Ninja in collaboration with Platinum Games and also Xbox, this one isn't just another sequel. Instead, you'll be playing as Yakumo, a rising ninja warrior forging his legacy in a futuristic Tokyo, and it looks to fuse neon tech with ancient tradition. Classic faces from this franchise will return, which is great for all of you fans of this series, but the story does leap a bit forward in time, carving out a new era for the Dragon Ninja. From what we've actually seen so far, the combat looks razor fast and absolutely stunning, with tons of cinematic flair. I have to say as well, there's plenty of brutal challenges and it looks utterly glorious. Yes, I have to say your eyes aren't deceiving you either. This game is launching day one onto Xbox Game Pass, and I know that so many of you are frothing at the mouth for this game to drop this October. Hell is opening its gates once more, as Painkiller is finally back, and this time the chaos is bigger than ever. The cult classic shooter has now been reimagined with new brutal arenas, grotesque enemies, and also weapons designed for pure carnage, and it's all wrapped up in that signature heavy metal energy. For the first time though, you can actually tear through Purgatory with up to 3 players in full co-op, or you can play it completely offline if you do prefer. The story though will throw you into the role of a fallen champion, tasked by the creator to stop Azazel before his demonic army floods Earth. Along the way though, you will be facing some pretty relentless hordes, unique enemy types, and even the monstrous Nephilim. It's looking similar to the likes of Doom Eternal, and although I never actually had a chance to try and Painkiller back in the day, I'm super stoked for this brand new entry. Jurassic World Evolution has been pretty well received over the past few years, and if you're wanting more dinosaur fun, then Jurassic World Evolution 3 is landing onto your Xbox consoles as of the 21st of October. Of course, you will be helping the different prehistoric species in your very own park by synthesizing, breeding, and nurturing them in all sorts of ways. The game is now said to have over 80 different species, which is the largest so far within this franchise, and there also seem to be a ton of improvements and creativity options when it comes to building your very own parks. It does seem as though you can now design buildings right down to their own foundations, which is absolutely a massive improvement compared to the previous 2 games. Of course, we have seen the previous 2 entries enter Xbox Game Pass shortly after the launches, so I'd be curious to see if this also comes to Xbox Game Pass a couple of months after its launch dates. This October, survival horror does return with Tormented Souls 2, and the nightmare has only deepened this time around. After the horrors of Wild Burger Hospital, Caroline Walker now seeks peace with her sister called Anna. But when Anna's terrifying visions begin warping into physical reality, their search for answers leads to Villa Hess, a chilling mountain town in southern Chile. Behind the smiling faces of its staff lurks something pretty sinister, so you'll be exploring the eerie landmarks like a ruined shopping mall and even an abandoned school. In this one though, this time around you'll be able to swap between twisted realities, reshape time itself, and also battle grotesque monstrosities with improvised weapons like chainsaws and even nail guns. Of course, like the first game, you can expect brutal puzzles here with loads of monstrous bosses and a story that's just filled with tons of secrets. It's great to see classic fixed camera survival horror is finally back and deadlier than we've ever seen before. I have gushed about 11-bit studios a lot this year, and their release cadence of fantastic titles has been utterly brilliant, from The Alters to Frostpunk 2 on our Xbox consoles. Although Moonlighter 2 is certainly not the largest of their releases this year, it's one indie that many fans have been excited about. Once again, this game sets us on the tricky life of an adventurer and a merchant. It does see Will and Co stuck in the village of Tresna this time with no coin, and also no way to get out aside working through dungeons and selling the relics that they find there. The devs have also made us aware that there will be a ton of additional changes such as new mechanics, weapons, gear, biomes, and so much more. The lovely news is that this one will also be launching day one onto Xbox Game Pass, and I will be providing a review of this newest entry just prior to its launch date, so make sure you subscribe down below. Arcade racing is a genre that is getting more and more popular in the last few years, and I've been loving games like Forza Horizon, Wreckfest, and so much more within this genre. Wreckreation is another game that I've been quite excited for since its announcement, and it finally launches on the 28th of October. This one now has you exploring a 400 square kilometer open world where you are free to race, drift, and absolutely wreck everything in sight. The highlight of the overall game though is what the devs are calling Mix World, and this is a mode that lets you build your very own tracks, toss in giant obstacles, and even invent totally new game types to share with your friends or online. With some Criterion veterans behind this game, the Burnout spirit is obviously running pretty deep here, and it's clearly on show with many of the gameplay trailers we've seen so far. If you missed the golden era of explosive arcade games just like Burnout, then Wreckreation definitely needs to be on your radar. The first Outer Worlds was a game that I absolutely fell in love with, and I always wished it was a bit longer as an experience. That's why I was extremely excited when we had the announcement of the Outer Worlds 2, and it's not long now until I can finally get my hands on it. This time though, we are being transported to a brand new colony named Arcadia, and it's caught between rebellion, corporate exploitation, and a looming cosmic danger. The gameplay still looks to bring us all the fantastic world design alongside choices that Obsidian are known for, but this time the team have massively overhauled and also improved the first-person combat. This is looking utterly fantastic, and I was just so bloody enthralled by what I saw at the extended showcase back in June. I do reckon this could be a surprise potential hit of 2025, and it's coming day one onto Xbox Game Pass. Embark keeps surprising me by providing us with some absolutely groundbreaking experiences, and they absolutely nail what all of us are looking for within their specific niches. Arc Raiders had huge success during the open beta period back in summer, and it really exploded in its popularity due to the mind-blowing visuals and its addictive gameplay loop. This though is an extraction shooter throughout, so you can expect to take on a variety of AI robots and other real-life players as you scavenge for your loot and try to escape by any means necessary. For me personally, I think we've only scratched the surface of what's really possible within Arc Raiders, and if the support continues for it at the rate we see for Embark's other game known as The Finals, then this one could be one of the best multiplayer games of 2025. I do see comments from time to time stating that Terminator 2D No Fate is one of your most anticipated titles coming to Xbox. I actually had no idea about this new Terminator game coming to us at the end of October, and I did actually have to dive in and do a bit more research as it does seem pretty interesting. Terminator 2D No Fate is of course a massive love letter to 80s and 90s arcade games, and it does seem like the developer's mission was to create the 2T side-scroller we should have had in our youth. In this one though, we'll be controlling characters like Sarah Connor, John Connor, and even the T-800 in arcade-style missions that retell Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and that's all whilst experimenting the narrative in a new direction. I for one have never actually been a massive 2D platformer fan, so I won't be diving into this one, but I do hope you all have a great time with it, especially if you're excited for this brand new title. So what game are you excited for this October? I would be keen to hear your thoughts on them down below, and if I did miss any, because obviously this is a top 15 list, so there were a few games that I did miss out on. In the meantime though, if you did like this video, do smash that like button, and also subscribe as I do upload Xbox content like this every single day. Whilst you're here though, and if you do want to check out some more upcoming games, I actually covered 20 brand new single player games which are still coming to both Xbox and Game Pass this 2025, and there's a lot of games for you to get really excited about.